And a lot of you guys have been asking questions if you can invite other people from your team members on here. And I would say yes. Like if you want people to be a part of this and understand what you guys are doing over the next 90 days and you want to bring other people into this with you, then invite them in. I mean, the best thing that we can do with this business is create a movement. And that's what we started doing in Destin with all the connections that we made. We started a movement with a community and a culture. And the more people that we can impact, the better that we are. And I see Kendall on here. Kendall, thank you for being here. I mean, leaders show up, and all the leaders. Kyle couldn't make it today, but most people always show up. You guys find a way. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I know some of you guys have jobs, but you're still anywhere. So you're here anyway. So I really, really appreciate you guys being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. So I'm gonna kick this off because I don't want to spend too much of you guys' time today. So what I want to start off with is the most important thing that I think we need to do to kick this thing off is what we talked about is core values. And core values simply is your brand. And your brand is really, really important to who people and how they see you are. So one of the things you guys should do every single quarter is to make sure that every goal you guys have, it aligns with your core values that guide your business and your life. Now, this is not just in business. Every decision that you make, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to reach out to you and want you to do things for them. And you got to learn to say no sometimes. You got to know when to say yes. And that has to go through this core value filter. These core values are the things that you believe in no matter what, no matter when, no matter what comes in your life. And so, what we're going to do in a minute is I'm going to pull the core values up on the screen. And I want you guys to take like 3 to 4 minutes. I want you to look through this list and I want you to choose what speaks to you the most. And then, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you guys share. This is not going to just me droning on and on and on and on. I want to interact with you guys. I do not want this to be just me talking. I want to hear from you guys. I want other people to hear from you guys what your core values are. So when you select those core values as your accountability partner, I'm going to want to know why. Why are you selecting these core values and what do they mean to you? And I want you to share that with the audience. And we're going to pick maybe 2 or 3 of you to do that. But I want to give people an idea because I'm going to coach you through those to make sure that those are really your core values. These are values that allow you to evaluate every single situation, every single person, every decision according to the uniform set of guidelines that you set. Core values make it so extremely easy for you to make decisions. A lot of times it takes us a lot of time to make decisions, and I just take it through my core values. If it doesn't fit, it's a really, really easy decision for me. If I'm going to take an action, I go through my core values all the time and say, you know what? This doesn't fit. I'm not going to do it. You have to be disciplined once you set this. If it doesn't align with your core values, you don't have to consider it. If it does, then you can decide, hey, I want to do this or I don't want to do that. So if you could for me, Justin, if you could pull up the core values and share that screen so everyone can see them. I'm going to take 3 to 5 minutes. I'm going to play a little music in the background while you guys do this, but I want you guys to write these down. And I want to do a lot of this work when we're together so it's not a massive amount of homework because there's going to be some homework that's going to be action plans, not selection plans. Okay. So we're going to select the stuff on these calls, and then I'm going to give you action items to implement and execute this over the next 90 days so that everyone on here that does it actually sees a huge movement in their life. So look at these. They're in Spanish, they're in English. Select the ones that speak to you the most. I have four. You can have three, you can have four, you can have five, but select the ones that speak to you the most. All right, while you guys are doing this, if you guys want to raise your hand with the reaction button down below, whoever wants to share. I like to have people volunteer, or I can voluntold, whichever one comes first. But I'd love to hear from you guys. So don't be shy. Kendall, see, look at that. Kendall is a leader. Love that. Thank you, Kendall. Anybody else? You go to the bottom where it says react, you can just raise your hand. Sarah, thank you. Raquel, thank you. Katie, thank you. Awesome. You guys are awesome. All right. This is great. All right. So, Kendall, I'm going to go ahead and let you share if you guys are still doing it so we can go. So, go ahead and share yours, Kendall.
Okay,
And
well, I didn't say see Jesus on the list, but Jesus is number one. So I put Jesus, family, work ethic, and joy.
Those are really, really good. And so when I hear those, you guys, those are self-explanatory to me. Obviously Jesus is first in her household, which is for everyone. Family is second. Everything she does has to benefit her family. And I'm not speaking for you, Kendall, but I'm pretty sure this is like I'm kind of summing this. And then you said what was the other one, Kendall?
Joy,
Or
work
no,
ethic, and
joy,
joy. Oh,
work
work
ethic,
ethic.
and joy. Work ethic meaning she's gonna have constant, and then everything she does has to bring her joy. Like, so that's a filter that she's going to run everything through. And if it doesn't, if it goes against Jesus, if it goes against family, if it goes against work ethic, if it goes against joy, it's a very easy decision for her to do something or not do something. All right, Sarah, how about you?
There we go. Hi. I picked truth because that to me, that's Jesus too, because he's the way, the truth, and the life. So I picked truth and Jesus to me are kind of the same thing. Liberty and connection and justice.
Okay, so explain those to me. Tell me why those are yours. Why
Liberty,
those spoke to
because
you.
to me, liberty is the freedom to be where you want to be, doing what you want to do with who you want to be with. And so that's really all encompassing. I mean, that's what we're all looking for, right? Is just total freedom. I mean, Jesus could be all of these things. But that's what liberty means to me is like you're doing your life looks the way you want it to look. You're spending time with who you want to spend, where you want to spend, how you want to spend it. And then connection, that to me, that's family and friends. So connectivity with your community, family, friends, I think that in light of like all the mental health issues that we have, and I do a lot of work in that space. One of the biggest reasons people get there is isolation or disconnectedness from a healthy community. So that's really important.
So
And for the
basically,
same
but so
reason,
basically, what you're saying is if anything takes you away from that, you're not going to do it, right?
yeah, yeah.
Amazing. Okay. And next
And
one.
then and then I think justice, justice because without justice, you know, it's like unresolved trauma. So something happens to you, something happens to a person, and then it's never made right, So um justice is really important, and I think there's a lot of injustice that we're dealing with. And so part of why I do this business is because I want to be able to do more in that area. And our justice system, especially when it comes to family law, is really, really broken. We've got a lot of brokenness and a lot of trauma that's just unresolved. And unresolved trauma pretty much leads to every problem we have in this world. I would say
Mm,
almost.
awesome. And your fourth one?
That was the fourth one.
Oh, that was the fourth one.
Truth, liberty, connection, justice.
Justice. Very good. Okay, Raquel, thank you guys so much for sharing. This is awesome. This is how people learn from other people. So thank you guys for sharing these. Raquel, and again, your core values don't have to match anybody else's core values. They can be your own core values and they should. Go ahead, Raquel.
Okay, so I have family, connection, joy, and growth. So,
Okay.
family, everything I do, I have them in mind for my family's future. Connection, if I'm not connecting to a person or one thing, it's very hard for me to go all in if I don't have a connection. Joy, I want to feel happiness and fulfillment in everything I do. And growth, like you say all the time, if we're not growing, we're dying. And I feel like once we don't have that growth, we are complacent, and complacency is the thief of all dreams
Raquel, I love all of those. And the connection thing, I think what you just said is really, really important. Connection to people and things,
and
right?
things.
So like the X39 patch that transforming people's lives. I think that's really important to not just have a connection to people, but also have a connection to things that are going
Mhm.
to help people. So that's really, really good, Raquel. Okay,
Yeah.
Katie, these are so good, so good.
Hi. Did you say we were
Hey,
supposed to pick four? Was
you
that the
could
number?
you could
Did
do
you give a
three to
number?
four is three to four is typically the filter. If you do more than
Yeah.
that, it's really hard to live into them. So I
Yeah.
usually say three to four is the number to kind of, and again, you guys remember this is this is also your brand. This is what people know you for. Like they know, Kendall's is the first and most important thing in her life is Jesus. They know her family. They know, that joy, her being happy is what, like all of these attributes and these core value. If someone says, who is this person? Then that's what they're going to say about you. And that's what you want the world to know about you. So three,
Yeah.
four, if you have
Yeah.
five, it's cool, but it's really, it's a lot harder to pass things through five or six filters. It's a little easier when you have four defined things that, hey, I'm going to make every decision based on this.
Yeah, that's good. My initial thought then is faith, family, and growth. And growth, I feel like can kind of come in all different aspects. And maybe I need to expand the word family into connection. I kind of like that better because I really do believe being connected with people is such a core value of life, right? I mean, we were meant to be in community with people, so probably community or connection then. So faith, obviously in Jesus, and then connection or community, and then growth. And growth can be, mindset, it can be physical, it can be spiritual, right? Like there's so many elements to that. And I'm just a huge proponent to living healthy and growing through what you go through. I know you all have heard that before, I'm sure.
Yep. It's awesome. I mean, that's amazing. That's exactly what's I think is important is, what we go through is for us, happening for us, not happening to us, and understanding that that's really, really, really important to understand, especially when you're going through it and you're in the middle of it and you think you don't see light and you're not getting out of it. That's very, very, very good. Nikki,
There we go. Sorry.
no worries.
Mine hi everybody. Mine are honesty, family, and work ethic. Because
Okay.
one thing I pride myself on, I am 100% honest about everything. Business, friends, family, my life, everything. I'm completely honest. And I want people to be honest with me. And family, of course, everything I do is for my family. Even though my girls are grown and gone, everything I do is for my daughters and my husband. And work ethic. I've always believed that if you don't put the work in, you get out what you put in. And if you have no work ethic and work values, then you're not going to go far. And I definitely believe in work ethic.
Good. And what I want you guys to understand is you cannot impart these core values on anybody else. Okay. It's really, really important. These are core values that you hold yourself accountable to and no one else, right? You cannot judge anybody for them not having the same core values if they're not like you. It's very, very important because this is one of the hardest things. And I talked about this in Destin about expectations and having expectations of people and them having the same core values, or they should have work ethic, or they should do this, or they should live with joy, or they should, believe or love Jesus as much as me, or whatever it is. Like you have to make sure you separate who you are. Now, if part of your core values is people have to be aligned with you and they have to be of the same nature, that could be of your core value that I want people that are similar to me, that, family is first and Jesus is first and all those things. But that's a decision if I'm going to let this person into my circle or not, because they're going to take me out of what my core beliefs are. But you just cannot impart these on anybody else. That's really important to understand because this 90-day massive action plan has nothing to do with any other soul in your life besides you. And what I will tell you is as people are watching you go through this, right? And you're communicating, because I'm going to take you on a journey that I went on, right? So this 90-day massive action plan was something that I implemented and executed. And my mentor that taught me this said, this is the thing you can't do. You can't try to bring your wife along. You can't try to bring your kids along. You can't try to bring your friends along. Okay. You could share this with people and say, hey, I'm going through this. And if they raise their hand and say, hey, I want to do that, I'd be like, hey, come on, let's join. Come with me. We have a call every Thursday or every other Thursday at 2 o'clock. But when people watch you go through this, my wife, she thought I was crazy. She thought the first 2.5 hours of every day being just for me at first was just something that she didn't have a connection with. She didn't understand. When I started to learn how to meditate, she didn't understand. And then she saw the transformation and she began to understand. So you guys have to make sure that everything that you're doing, you're not doing it for anybody else. You're doing this for you and only you. And then people will see you and then they will follow because they see the transformation. So I want to do one more of the core values. Tracy, let me hear yours.
Hi. Let's see. Number one is Jesus, like other people have said. But number two, I would say is stewardship. That's not even on the list, but I feel like it encompasses so much because I stewarding my health, stewarding my time, my talents, my body, money, I think all falls under stewardship, and that's huge for me. And then family and connection. That's
Nice.
where.
Well, listen, you guys, and you just said something. The core values that we pulled up is really just to help you think. You could have core values that aren't on that list. And again, you don't have to select from that list. That list is just a guide to see if something speaks to you. So I'm glad you said that, Tracy. So, stewardship's not on there. But if there's something that speaks to you that you're doing every day or that you think, you know what, this is what's most important to me, then put that down. It doesn't have to be on the list. It doesn't have to be on the list to qualify as a core value. Okay. So this is what I want you guys to do now. And people are asking this in the chat. And when it comes down to accountability partners, I have multiple accountability partners. And I'm going to tell you why I have accountability partners to just refresh what I talked about in Destin. One thing that I figured out about me a really, really long time ago, and what I figured out about other people, and you could take that core values down if you're sharing it. Uh, you could unshare that, Justin. One of the things that I figured out a long time ago is that I have an ego that is larger than the entire world. And so does everyone else, right? We all are made of ego. I mean, from a kid growing up, a little kid, 5, 6 years old, you ask your parents, watch me, Poppy, watch me, Poppy, watch me, Poppy, watch me, Poppy, because you wanted to impress people. You want to make people happy. And it's just something that we have inside of us that will never rid. And some people are like, oh, I don't have ego. You have an ego. So, what I want you guys to think about when it comes to your ego is how can you leverage your ego? And the way that you can leverage your ego is to create accountability partners in your life and tell every single person that's close to you in your life what you're going to do. Now, start with this 90-day massive action plan. Like, I'm going to show up to every single meeting for the next 7 weeks and the next 7 meetings, and I'm going to execute on this action plan. And then, if it's something that you want to accomplish in your life, if it's a rank that you want to hit in the company, if it's a dollar amount that you want to make in the company, if it's taking your kids on a trip. Sarah and Devin talked about, when they got to a certain point with their kids and they had this goal, they were going to get a swimming pool, right? Whatever it is, if it's, hey, if sometimes when you're working hard, you're doing multiple things, your kids don't really understand what you're doing. But when we take our kids on trips, we always say, do you know what paid for this trip? Do you know how this trip happened? Those times that you want mommy and poppy at 2 o'clock in the afternoon to come play Barbies with you and we can't because we're on a phone call. This is why the trips happen, so that they understand work ethic and they understand what we're doing. So accountability partners, it doesn't just have to be one. Matter of fact, I have several. All of my friends, all the people that I brought into this business, I tell them what's going to happen. I tell them when it's going to happen. So I want you guys to think about those people. Now, what is an accountability partner? What does an accountability partner look like? Okay, an accountability partner is not someone that lets you off the hook. It's someone that's going to be tough on you. They're not someone that's just going to let you go. And you got to give them permission to hold you accountable. You can't get mad when they hold you accountable. You should be more upset when you let yourself down than letting that accountability partner down. You should be more upset with yourself. If someone's holding you accountable, you can't give them attitude, but you have to ask them to hold you accountable on a regular basis. The reason I'm telling you this is because of this. The best accountability partners that you can assign to yourself, does anybody know who that is? Put in the chat if you could guess who the best accountability partners that you can have on your corner in your team. Tell me in the chat which ones. Myself? Nope, absolutely not, Cindy. You are the absolute worst. Jesus, he forgives. Husbands, Husbands are tough. Wives are tough because there's an emotional connection there. My wife is my accountability partner, but it's tough when she is calling me out because that person you love and their friend, and it's tough. Upline, upline's good. Tiffany, you're right. Your children are your best accountability partners. They will not let you off the hook. If you tell them, "Hey, this is what I'm going to do," they're watching you all the time, and they're not afraid to say something to you. They're not afraid to call you out and be like, "Hey, mommy, you said you were going to do this. Hey, Poppy, you said you were going to do this, and it didn't happen. Oh, I thought you were going to take me to the store today." And teaching your children about accountability partners, because this is the thing. I always tell my daughter, my biggest job is to protect you. And the biggest thing that I can do to protect you is hold you accountable because it's going to make you the best version of you. And so we have a mutual accountability partnership between my kids, but also you need to hold people, you need to have accountability partners that you know will hold you accountable and hold your feet to the fire. And so I want you guys to think about that over the next 2 days, and I want to share those next week or in the next meeting. I want you to think about who those people are. If it's 2, 3, 5, however many. And if you determine that over the next 2 weeks, what I want you to do is I want you to tell them. Because this is the deal with your ego. When you let yourself down, like Cindy said, nobody knows. You could keep that to yourself. But when you tell somebody that you're going to do something and you don't do it, it's an immediate strike to your ego, which hurts a lot. And so if you tell people you're going to do something, what's going to happen is you're going to start to do it. So it could be, I want to lose in this 90 days 10 pounds. And I need you to check in with me every other week and see where I'm at. In the next 90 days, I'm going to stop eating sugar or I'm going to cut sugar. In the next 90 days, I'm going to stop eating processed food. In the next 90 days, I'm going to go to the gym at least 3 to 4 days a week. In the next 90 days, I'm going to get outside and walk for 15 minutes every single day. And as soon as you don't, they need to ask you why. And that's what a good accountability partner is, you guys. So I want you to share with these accountability partners your core values. And I want them to understand who you are. And that way, when you make a decision and you didn't pass it through your filter and you just did something because of money. This is the thing. No one on here today of the 10 people said one of their things is money and to be rich, which is very good. Because if that's a core value of yours, you're going to make bad decisions. So I want everyone to know in your life what your core values are, and I want them to understand why they're so important to you. Okay? So this is what I want you guys to also, some homework that I want you guys to think about. I really want you to think over the next 2 weeks, and we're going to share these on the next call. I want you guys to think about what your why is. I want you to define it. And like I told you guys in Destin, understand this. Your why can change. I talked to some people that are going through some tough times in Destin. And after you get through those tough times, your why is going to be different. And your why is going to match up with your core values, right? So when you create your why, does it fit with my core values? Why I'm doing this or why I'm doing that, does it fit inside of my core values? They have to be married. Your why is going to help you guys get through the tough things and the tough things that you don't want to do and when you don't feel like doing. You guys understand this. This is what you guys need to implement the next 90 days. When you don't feel like doing something, that's when you do it. That's the moment you do it. The moment you say, I don't want to do this, or I don't feel like doing it, that's exactly when you do it, in that moment. Because if not, you're going to live with regret. The moment you don't feel like going for a walk, the moment you want to make an excuse for eating that candy or that cookie that you know you committed to saying, I'm going to lose this weight, don't do it. That's why the why is so powerful. Because when you want to make that decision, it's going to keep you from making those decisions. So you need to review this like every 90 days. And when you define this why, see if it still matters. Because if it doesn't matter anymore, you're not going to do it. And then after you have your why, I want you guys to sit down and really think about, what does success look like for you? Everyone's core values were slightly different, and everyone's success is going to be different. But this takes time to actually sit down and think about, what does success look like for me? I ask really successful people this question all the time, and they never know. They're just going through life. You can't just go through life. You got to figure out exactly what it is that you want in your life. If you don't know, you're never going to get there. And so, this next couple of weeks, as you're going through your accountability partners, you've defined your core values. The reason I'm doing this in this order is because I want you to really determine what your why is. I want to get you guys thinking. To think, you got to stop. You got to stop the routine that you're going through that's not getting anything accomplished. If it's going for a walk in the morning, it's my best thinking time. If it's taking a shower, that's the best thinking time. Because nobody's asking for anything. That's your private time. But I want you guys to think over the next 2 weeks, what does success really look like for me? After you determine what your core values are, what is my why? Why am I doing what I'm doing? And I'm going to share with you guys my why next week. I'm going to share my success snowflake. But the other thing that I talked about really, really quickly for lack of time is, in order to get to there, I want you guys to think about what your number is. And I'm going to give you this really slow today, you guys, so that you guys can figure this number up. And I want you to sit down and I want you to think about this number. And I don't care what your number is. I don't care if it's 5,000 a month, if it's 10,000 a month, if it's 500 a month. How much money do you guys want to make every single month that would make you feel like you're living the life of your dreams? I don't want you to pick a random number out of the sky. A lot of people replied in the meeting quickly: 50,000, 100,000, 25,000, 30,000. Why that number? Why? What is $30,000 a month going to get you? So I really want you to think about this number. And I want you to have this number on the tip of your tongue. Does $30,000 get you what? It gets you living in the house you want, driving the car you want, putting your kids in the school you want, being able to tithe your church the amount of money that you want to tithe them every single month, the vacations you want to take your family on. I want you to sit down and I really, really want you to think about what this number is. And I don't want it to be a number that you think is impossible. Because if you think it's impossible, we're never going to get where we want to go. But I want you to think about, like, if I had my dream life, what would that number be? Some of you guys are making 5,000 a month, 10,000 a month, $20,000 a month would change your life forever. Just like the success can change, so can this number. I want you to think about today. Where do you want to be today if you had a magic wand? And so I don't want you to think about it quickly. I want you to just sit down. And now the other thing you have to do is, if you're married, if you have kids, if you're taking care of your parents, I want you to sit down with them. I want you to sit down with your husband. I want you to get on the same page with him and be like, babe, what do you think our number would be that would make us completely happy and content, where we could live the life that we want to live without stress, without pressure, without feeling like we're living paycheck to paycheck, or that we can't do what we want to do, or we got to look at the menu prices when we go out to eat, or we got to look at the prices in the grocery store when we go shopping, because we got to keep our budget to $300 a week or $300 a month. What is that number? Sit down and write out a budget. How much money do you want to save every single month? And that's the next number that's going to come. How much do you want in the bank that would make you feel like, I'm good? If another penny doesn't come to me, I can live the rest of my life forever. Now, you got to base that number on the first number. So if it's $50,000 a month, how do I get to $50,000 a month? Now, understand this. $50,000 a month, you guys. If that's what you want to live off of, you got to add 33% on top of that. Okay? Because the government's going to get theirs. So if I want to make 50,000, live off 50,000, 50,000 times 33%, that's going to give you your number that you need to make every single month. Because if you want to make 50,000 to live off of minus 33%, that's a big difference in number. Okay? So get to that number first. Then the bank, the money in the bank, the goal that you guys are going to have to make money so that you don't have to worry anymore. You're going to take that number and you're going to multiply it times 5%. Okay? So, for example, I'm going to do it. You guys can pull your calculators out and do it. $10 million times 5% is $500,000. Okay? So if I had $10 million in the bank and I was getting a 5% conservative return on that money, which you could pretty much count on that, a 5% guaranteed return on your money, that's going to pay me $500,000 a year. But I'm going to subtract 23% because capital gains tax, the government's going to take 23% of that every single year. So that's $385,000 a year. Okay? If I divide that by 12, that's going to give me $32,000 a month that I can make off of that $10 million. Now, a lot of people think, oh, if I had $3 million, $4 million, I would be good. What I want you to think about is this. When you stop working, you have something on your side that you didn't have when you worked, and that is time. And when you have time, you spend more money. You go to lunch, you play golf, you go to see your grandkids, you're traveling, you want to go on vacation. You're not just sitting in your house, not doing anything. So a lot of people, when they retire, think that they can make less money. But it's going to cost you more money in retirement to live the way you want to live, the life of your dreams. So when you do that math, I want you to take those into consideration. So I'm going to go through it one more time. Take the number that you want to make every single month, add 33% to it, and that's going to be your number. Okay? Then you're going to figure out from that number, how do I get to $60,000 a month? Okay? So if I'm going to do that, if I take 15 million, I'm going to do another example, 15 million times 5% is 750,000 minus 23% is 577,500 divided by 12. That's 48,000. I'm short. So now I'm going to go to 17 million and see if 17 million is going to get me there to live the life that I want when I retire. Now, the reason I want you guys to figure up this number is because that way now you know what you need to do. And when you don't feel like doing the things that you need to do to get to that money and you want to choose something else over that, remember what you're affecting. Remember your commitment that you're affecting. And again, I'm saying 50, 60. It could be 10,000 a month you want to live off of. But you got to determine what that number is first. That's a part of this 90-day massive action plan. And you got to know exactly what you want. If you don't know what you want, you're never going to get what you want. But you got to know exactly what you want and sit down and take the time. Do this exercise with your husband, with your kids. Then do this exercise with your team, with your family. We pay this forward to people and get people thinking differently about their life and their money and what's possible. We change. We're able to change the world. This patch is helping people with health, but what we can learn and what we could do here with these types of things that we're teaching people and paying this forward, what you could do with your team when you onboard someone. Imagine someone comes on and you say, hey, Carrie, how much money would you like to make every month where you felt like you're living the life of your dreams? Well, I don't know. 5,000. Life of your dreams, 5,000? Like, how much would you really like to make if you won the lottery and you felt like, if I made this every single month, I'd be good? And take them through this exercise and show people what's possible because they're going to act different within this business. They're going to want to be a part of this community. So, does anybody have any questions about that before I move on? I want to make sure you guys are crystal clear on that. Is there any questions you guys have? If you have a question, you can put it in the chat or you can unmute yourself and ask the question.
I was just wondering, can you repeat like the formula that you just did? Can you say that one more time for me?
The monthly one or the one in the bank?
How you broke it down over the bank?
Okay, so this I'm gonna write it in the chat as I'm talking about. Okay, so monthly amount, whatever you want to make monthly. Okay, Lola, can you type this out for me as I'm saying it? Whatever you want to make monthly times 33%. So I'm gonna do an example. So if you want to make 50,000 a month, I'm gonna multiply that times 33% because I'm gonna have to pay taxes on that. So if I want to make 50,000 a month, I need to make 66,500 to make 50,000 because I'm going to be giving the government 16,500 every month of that money, which sounds crazy, but that's just the truth of the matter. Okay? So whatever you want to take home, you want to times it by 33%. Okay? And that's what you actually have to make in that month. So in this case, if you want to make 50, I got to make 66,500 to be able to make that 50K. Okay? Now, if I want to make $50,000 a month without working, how much money do I need to have in the bank? So if you take 10 million and just put this in the chat, 10 million times 5%. And the reason I use 5% is 5% is pretty much a guarantee that you can get in a very conservative investment where you don't have any downside and you have all upside. But 5% is pretty much a good return that you can count on getting. You're going to take 10 million times 5%, and that's going to give you $500,000 annually in money that you're going to make off that 10 million. Okay. You're going to take that $500,000 and you're going to subtract 23% from it because that's what the government's going to take from your earnings. It's called a capital gains tax. So when you earn money while you're working, you're paying 33%. When you actually are getting it from a capital investment or capital gains, it's 23%. So that's going to take you down to like 367,000. So now if you take 12 million and do the same math, 12 million times 5% equals 600,000 minus 23% is 462 divided by 12. You're going to divide that number by 12 and it's going to give me 38.5. So it's still not enough to get me to 50K a month. 15 million times 5% equals 750,000 minus 23% equals 577,500. So 15 million in the bank is going to get you to a point. Now, that's a scary number, right? People are like, oh my God, I had no idea I need to have $15 million in the bank. It could either scare you or it could motivate you. It's up to you. We have two ways we can go on our mind. Hey, baby girl. I'm on a call, my love. I love you. I'm so happy. Okay, good, baby. I gotta go. Okay. Sorry, guys. But I told her she could come to my office anytime because that's the most important thing in my life. Um, so that's the math, you guys, on that. So again, you got to make a decision. Like, oh my God, I'm behind. We don't have enough money. Well, you got to make different decisions. Now, once you have that number, you got to make different financial decisions. Meaning, if it's to buy something bigger, house, car, boat, motorcycle, whatever it is, does it fit within what your goals are to hit your number? And so the difference between rich and wealthy, and guys, we have an opportunity. We have a lottery ticket right now. We have a big lottery ticket in our hands with this company. I don't have an advantage. Kendall doesn't have an advantage. Kyle, Joey don't have an advantage. We just talk to more people. You have just the same advantage of talking about this that can get you to these goals. I mean, we know people right now making $130,000, $140,000 a month, a week, sorry, a week in this business, or making $60,000 a week, not a month, a week. They're making $250,000 a month, right? The difference between rich and wealthy is how you make decisions. Rich people make a lot of money, but they spend a lot of money. Wealthy people don't spend any money on liabilities. They make every liability purchase based on can their assets pay for it. 100% of their income goes into their assets, and every single financial buying decision is based on can my assets pay for this? So if I'm going to buy a bigger house, if I'm going to buy a boat, if I'm going to buy a new car, do my assets pay for it, not my income? And that's the difference between rich and wealthy. And you have an opportunity in this business to become very, very wealthy. And so that's why I'm trying to get you guys to start off this 90-day massive action plan. I want you to think differently about money. I want you to think differently about goals. I want you to think differently about where you want your life to go and where you see it. Shannon, do you have a question? You can ask.
No, I think my hand is still up from like the 4 things you had to say.
Oh, okay. We'll get to you next time. Make sure you raise your hand next time and I'll get to you. I promise. Anybody have any other questions? Yeah, so Katie, listen, girl, like, and this is where your accountability partner is going to come into play. Like, it's so hard for me to believe that something that big is possible for little old me. That's you, man. You have to get out of the way, Katie. I love you, but you're gonna have to get out of the way. You
I
got to
believe
get out
you.
of the way.
I believe it. I just don't know how. I don't know how.
Massive action plan. And over the next 90 days, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show
Okay.
you with these things and executing these things. And it all starts right here, you guys. It all starts right between your ears. After it
Can
all
I
starts
ask
right
you,
here.
can I ask you a different question?
Absolutely.
So I think one of the fears I have is related to how the government will portray the growth of the business and how fast it's growing. I just came from a different MLM and they shut it down because they said it was because of the government. So I don't know how much of that was actually true. But now there's like this little fear in my head, like, oh, if you do get that big, whatever. And
Yeah.
so I'm kind of
So
struggling with that too.
do you know what fear is, Katie? Do you remember what I told you fear is?
I don't think I've heard you say what fear is. Did you
Fear
say
is
that on
false
this call?
evidence appearing real.
Oh, yes.
And fear comes from future. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. We could all be gone tomorrow, right? My wife hates when I say this, but I'm just like, listen, we have no idea what tomorrow brings. I'm going to live today. I'm not going to worry
Amen.
about I'm not
That's
going to
good
worry
word.
about tomorrow. I'm not going to worry about what's going to happen or if the government's going to do this or the government's not going to do that. All I know is I have something in my hands and I'm going to impact as many people as I can. And I think God's hand is in this as well. And he's not going to take this away from people. When David Schmidt discovered this from the Bible and the scripture in the Bible, why would he take this away from people that it's healing, right? This is God's work. So I don't worry about those things. All I can worry about is right now in this moment how my life's going to be. If something changes, guess what? I'm going to evolve. I'm going to go with the flow. I'm going to figure out how I can be more successful, but I'm not going to ever let anything ever take me down or take me backwards. So just don't live in the future. Live today because fear is future. Fear is all the things that could happen that 99.9% of them never, ever happen in your life. So don't worry about them. Like it's just, again, it's a mindset. It's a mentality. And Katie, listen, I'm not picking on you. I appreciate the honesty because you
Hey,
know
bring
what?
it. Bring
90,
it. I'm
90,
here for
90% of the
it.
people on here are feeling exactly the same way that you feel right now in this moment. And so I'm speaking to you through them because this is typical of everyone in society. And we cannot live in fear because fear doesn't do anything. I mean, that's the news. What's the news for? The news is to make us fearful of going out and, now the planes. My wife's like, I don't want to get on a plane anymore. I'm like, listen, God's protecting us. We have a lot of work to do. Nothing's going to happen to us. Nothing's going to happen to a plane. I mean, there's a lot more likely that you can get in a car accident than you can in a plane accident, right? But that's what they want us to do. What was COVID? Fear. Stay in your house. Let's see if we can control you. Like, so we just can't live in fear anymore. Chad,
Gotcha.
go ahead. Oh, sorry. I didn't see Carrie's hand up, but Chad, go ahead and you go, Carrie.
Well, I just want to say thank you for all of this. This is something I needed because I haven't had been through this in a long time. Yeah, as a former Tony Robbins follower, but never went through his program, so this is really cool. But one observation from Destin, and it's evident today. I think I counted. There's only 10 guys on this call. So the men are in minority again, and just like it's unbelievable because this is to me this should be more of a just as much of a men opportunity than it is a female opportunity. I had a few conversations with that some of my brand partners, the new brand partner today that said, there's more females doing this than men, so let your husband be involved. This ain't about you, it's about us. So that was
Yeah,
just
I agree with you, and again, it's if we could bring men into this business, like you said, Chad, I mean, it would make a huge difference. Not that the women need us to be successful, but I think, this my wife was with Pharmacy and Monet, which was a skin and hair care. And I had a really hard time connecting with that, like doing videos, and she wanted to do videos putting creams on my face, and it just was not something I connected with. And we have a product that is not, men or women. It helps every single person, and every single person can have massive results out of this. So I think it's a great point, Chad, that I would love. I tried to be passionate about this business with my wife, the beauty business, but it was really tough. And this business, I just think we need to let more men know. I had a lot of guys come up to me from the event and say, "Hey, listen, because of this event, I'm in." And I just think a lot of guys don't know. They don't know like this is personal development. They don't know that this is helping human beings, that there's a massive opportunity in this business. There's a massive transformation for people. So it's a great point. Carrie,
Hey guys, so I want to encourage Katie and anybody else that has the mindset of it's hard for me to believe that something that big is possible for little old me. I just want to share a quick story that happened for me that was a pivotal moment for me when I was in Destin. And that was, I had a conversation with Mike Hernandez. And I know you guys all heard his story, which to me is so impactful. And, really he's influenced me. And I obviously can't share what he's making a week on here because he didn't give me permission to, but he showed me. And this was what changed everything for me. When I walked into Destin, I was excited because I know that God led me to LifeWave and that he's doing big things through this company. And Chad, my husband's doing it with me too. And he's never done MLM before. We also were in Monate before, and he is pumped up and fired up. He had to go pick up my kids from school, so he's on with me right now. But when I was in Destin, I went up and I found Mike and I said, I wanted to tell you something. I said, you have inspired me so much. And I related to him a lot. And I feel like we all relate to people different in this business, right? Because we all have our own stories. But Mike has inspired so much because we came from a place 15 years ago where we lost everything. We lost our house. We had a car repossessed. We lost our jobs. We went bankrupt and we hit rock bottom financially, which was super, super stressful. But God told me years ago that I needed to start sharing that publicly because He was going to get the glory in my story. And so that has always stood with me for all of this time. And so when I was talking to Mike, I said, I relate to you so much because even though our stories are different, to hear him, someone who is not a social media influencer, okay, I wouldn't consider myself an influencer either. And I think sometimes we compare ourselves to social media influencers, right? And people think, well, we don't have 20,000 people following us, so we can't hit SPD overnight. And I get that. But Mike is not an influencer. In fact, he barely even uses social media. And when I saw him, he said, I shared with him my story really quick. And he said, Carrie, I want to show you something. He got out his phone and he showed me. He logged into his back office. My heart was racing. I was like, he doesn't even know me. Is he going to show me what he's making right now? He showed me what he was making. It is life changing, you guys. It's life changing. And if he can do it, anybody can do it, you guys. Years ago, he was picking up trash in people's driveways to resell to make money, okay? Like, if he can do it, we can do it too. And it was in that moment that he showed me it, that I saw it with my own eyes, that I knew what was possible and what we have our hands on with LifeWave. Nobody has what we have. Nobody has a product like this. It's not just for men, it's not just for women. Everybody can use this, you guys, and nobody has it. So I just encourage you guys, if you're stuck in that mindset of, but how can little old me do it, right? And like Jay said, Katie, I'm not picking on you. I used to be that same person, have that same mindset. I don't have that mindset anymore. If Mike can do it, I can do it too, and you guys can too. So I just want to encourage you guys with that.
thank you, Sarah. And and I'm able to share what Carrie saw is Mike's making about 55,000 a week after 2.5 years of being in this business. And so again, he came in, he said, I'm going to do it. He brought some really good people into the business, that he liked and trusted and that liked and trusted him. And he doesn't have any social media. I interviewed him yesterday, and went through his life story and his mindset. And it's all about passion and conviction, you guys. Everything in life is about passion and conviction and what you believe. But most importantly, it's about you believing in you, right? Because this is the thing. This is the honest to God truth. Our entire life, from being little kids to being the adults that we are, everyone has told us what's impossible. That's not possible. You can't do this. That's never going to work. That's a Ponzi scheme. That's a pyramid scheme. That's a blah 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 blah. Right? Only the top people can be successful in any kind of company. What I'm telling you is it's a big fat lie. It's a big lie, and then you start telling yourself this lie, and the lie doesn't exist. It's untrue. It's not true what you tell yourself every single day. What's true is I'm not sure you're willing to do what it takes to get the success that you want in your life. That's the next step. And that's what I want to help you guys with this 90-day massive action plan is these small little steps, because everything is about thinking what you want, thinking what your why is, thinking about what your core values. Some people, they just go through life and they don't think. They're just on this automated wheel and they're not thinking about what they can actually have in their life because they've been in this wheel and this life their whole life, and they're surrounded by their family that's stuck there too. And so they just think this is what's possible. But what I'm here to tell you guys is I was insane. I lived in my car 23 years ago. In the dead of summer, I showered at the gym, and everyone told me that there was no way that I could make it. I didn't have a college degree. I didn't finish college. I was not going to make it. All my friends counted me out. And 10 years later, I had a multi-million-dollar business because I made a decision. Like LifeWave is I have 8 other businesses, you guys, and I love this one the most. You know why? Because it impacts people the most. Not only from a health standpoint, but it impacts people financially. Because if you believe in this product and you set up a plan for yourself, there's no difference between you and hi, Katie. Not one difference. The only difference is I believe in me and you don't yet believe in you. Because little old you doesn't exist. You are as big as you want to be. I promise. There is no little old Katie. You have a bigger purpose on this planet. Everyone on this call that showed up, the first step in success is showing up. If you show up every single day, that's why I'm teaching you guys this over the next 90 days. I don't want to shove it all down your throat, but in the next 90 days, if you can incorporate this, I'm telling you, this is my playbook. I wrote a book. How I got from my car. It's a very, very simple book. It's a playbook on exactly what I did. You know what? In the first line of the book, when you open it up, everything I'm going to teach you in this book, I stole. There's no original ideas in here. This is just my playbook that I executed and decided to have discipline. And that's all you got to decide, Katie. Everyone that said all those things to you that put your whole, like I never tell my kids they can't do anything. They can do anything that they want. You want to be a rock star? Then you're going to be a rock star. Whatever you want to do, you guys need to understand the possibilities are endless. But you got to start believing that today, you guys. You got to start determining what your roadmap is, not what someone else thinks your roadmap is. So I don't want to take too much of your time. I'm going to get to the last question in a minute, but I want to recap what I want you guys to do this week, okay? So first of all, the other thing I want you to do over the next month is I want you to make sure, one, you define your number, and then I want you to start to ask other people. What you're going to find is nobody knows their number. Nobody knows. And what I want you to understand is that's why nobody is where they want to be, because they don't know where they're going. And I want you to have this conversation. I want you to start impacting lives. And then I want you to give them that formula and start sharing that with people. And just ask your friends, ask your Neighbors, ask people that you hang out with at work. Just ask them. I have an interesting question. I'm going through this process right now, and I've learned this thing, and I want to ask you, do you know how much money you would like to make every single month? People that are employees, they've been making $120,000 a year. That's all they think is possible. But guess what? We have a tool, we have a vehicle that you can increase your dream. If you would like to make $50,000 a month, I have something for you. Because I'm going to make $100,000 a month in this business in the next year and a half. And they're like, what? When you have that kind of confidence and that kind of conviction. So, and then ask people what their ideal life is. If you could build your ideal life right now, if you could take this magic wand and you could have your ideal life, what would it look like? And just get into conversations with people. You have no idea how you will connect with people just asking these questions and what will come out of these conversations. And before you know it, you're going to become a mentor to people because you're going to be like, oh, that's not for me. And you're going to do the same thing that I did with Katie. The reason I did is you're going to say, that's bullcrap. You're lying to yourself. It is possible. Who told you that lie? Why do you keep telling yourself that lie? And so I want you guys to practice this because when you start becoming a coach to people on your team that are saying that same thing, it's going to help you get better. So the homework that I want you guys to do, recap, is I want you to define your brand, which is your core value. I want you guys to have that set. I want you to write it down. I want your family to know. I want your parents to know. I want everyone to know what's most important to you, okay? And then I want you to share it with your accountability partners that you decide. Bring them in. If it's your husband, listen, you can hold me accountable. This is what I'm doing, babe. I'm going to lose 15 pounds over the next 90 days. And the reason we do things in 90 days, you guys, is because we are human beings and we procrastinate. If we say we're going to do something in 6 months, 9 months, a year, it's never, ever going to happen. And we're not going to start until like 2 weeks out from when the goal is supposed to be hit. 90 days. We're starting right now, you guys. Right now, today, we're going through May. And then I want you guys to define your why. I want you to think about it. We'll talk about them in 2 weeks. Define what success looks like for you. Define what your number is. I know that sounds like a lot. It's about 30 minutes of think time. If you're not sitting down and thinking every day, just all by yourself, you're missing out. Just sit down and write. Think about these numbers. I'm going to have them put in the chat these, if you didn't write down what you're supposed to do, and I want you to look at that list. You got 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Don't wait till 2 weeks from today to write it down right before the meeting. Take a day, spend 10 minutes thinking about it. All right, my core values. 10 minutes today, I'm going to call up my accountability partners and I'm going to tell them about my core values. I'm going to tell them they're my accountability partners. The next day, I'm going to think about my why. The next day, I'm going to think about my success. The next day, I'm going to come up with my number. Every day, just take 10 minutes to yourself and think about these things. And this is what's going to happen. You're going to get very, very excited about your future because you're going to be able to see it. Manifestation is a very important thing. So manifest these things in your life. And then that's it. We're going to see you guys on Thursday. Sarah, did you have a question, Sarah? I think there was one other guy's hand that I saw up. I don't know if his hand's still up or not, but I just want to answer your
Yeah,
questions. Yeah, go
sorry,
ahead.
that was me,
No, go
Jay.
ahead.
First of all, I want to say
I
thank
remember
you.
you.
That was amazing. You actually answered my question, which was, would you mind sharing your goal just for inspiration? So it's kind of morphed, but before I get there, I want to just say, if you don't type it in the GPS, you're not going to get there. And we get what we focus on. And a little fun stat, there was actually significantly less plane crashes this year than last year. Just saying.
No. I know. And so it's funny. I wish my wife was on because I told her the same thing. I said there was half the crashes this year than there were last year. So again, media wants to scare us, right? And for whatever reason, to control us, to keep us from traveling. I don't know what the reason is, but I just don't listen to it, because again, if God wants me to go, then I'm gonna go. Like I'm not, I'm not trying to stay here if he doesn't want me to stay here. Like I told her, I was like, listen, I could leave tomorrow and someone could sideswipe me and, poof, I'm gone. I don't want to live life every time I get in my car worried, am I gonna get in an accident? Like I'm gonna live in every single moment the best that I possibly can. So thank you, Jonah, so much.
Thank you. So you answered the goal question. So then what is your why behind the goal, if you don't mind sharing?
So I'll read you my why, right? Because I wrote it down. I'm going to read it to you word for word. So my biggest why in my life is one, my family and my girls. And I'm going to try not to get emotional. Um, I honestly, my why 7 years ago was money, because I didn't never had it in my life and I wanted money. But the day my daughter was born, everything changed. And I want to provide the best life for them, the safest life for them. If you ask my daughter what my number one job is, she'll tell you is to protect me. And protect me is not just protect in all aspects, protect her mind, protect her soul, protect everything, protect, give her God, protect it from everything that could ever enter her life where she would have any fears in her life. My second is empowering people. I feel like God gave me a gift to put me on this earth. And my main job is to empower people on this planet to believe, like Katie, that she has the possibility and the ability to become and do and be whatever she wants to be. I just feel like all these lies that are told to people, it's my job to let you know it's a complete and utter lie. I want to change people's mindset. I just think that we've been poisoned by so many outside forces about, what's possible in our life. Um, I want to spend the most time that I can with my family. So I want to do things that enable me. Like I just built a 1,300 square foot office in my backyard because I don't want to be on a road driving anywhere because that's an hour every day or 2 hours every day that I'm away from my kids. I want my daughter to be able to walk in my office whenever she wants and give me a kiss and say hello to me. If I'm in an office apart, I can't do that. Right. So my why is to create a business. And these 8 businesses, I don't need to be in them every day. I have a team that they have to do things, right? But I've created that from learning. Um, I want to leave a legacy for my kids and not just a money legacy. I want to leave a legacy. All these books that you see back here, I've read and they have a date when I read them. And I want my daughters to see when I read that book and I want them to read the same books and I want them to carry the same message on. Um, I want to travel the world with my children. I want to help people around the world, not just in the US. I want to help everyone in the world to know that they have more in them than what they think. And that's my why now. And this company gives me that vehicle to do that. That's what I love about LifeWave is because I can, you know, we have 69, we had 80 people on this call. When we started, you guys are on here an hour and 9 minutes. I wanted to cut it to an hour, but I also want to answer you guys' questions because this is not just about me. I want to answer you guys' questions. I want to give back to you guys. But listen, everyone on here, you have way more inside of you than you think's possible. You're capable of way more than you think is even possible. I promise you, I came from absolutely nothing, as poor as you could possibly be. And if I can do it, if I can come into a business, if I can have 8 different businesses, if I can be a millionaire, then anybody on here can do exactly the same thing that I did. I just have discipline. I have a playbook. And this is what I do every single day. My wife, if you ask her, my discipline, there is nothing that's going to come in the way of anything that I'm going to talk about on this massive action plan. I can't get on here and preach to you guys about what works and then not do it. My wife would be like, "You're a fraud." How can you tell people this? This is how I got where I've got. So thank you so much, Jonah. And then there was someone else with their hand up.
Yeah,
Did
that
she
was me,
go?
Jay.
Oh, okay. Sarah.
I just wanted to say quick that, defining after hearing your why, everyone on here obviously really looks up to you. And I've noticed a lot of times in this business, defining your why can be really, really hard by yourself. And that's something that we can do with accountability partners to go really, really deep and ask why, like at least 4, 5, 6, 7 times until you get emotional, because it's not always on the surface. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to throw that out there because I think
And Sarah,
until
it
you,
could change, right? I mean,
yeah.
when you get into something, your why can change as you go along. It's not something you're stuck with forever. And matter of fact, it should change. Your why should change because if it's not driving you anymore, if it's not something that gets you out of bed in the morning and you live into, then you got to sit down and think about it again and be like, okay,
Mhm.
what does drive me right now? Because if you have money, and you want to have money and you have all the money, then that's not a why anymore. What is the why? And it can change. It could change weekly, but you got to constantly evaluate it. And if you feel like you've lost some of that inspiration and that drive, then that's time to go back to think time and say, why? Why am I not where I was? And thing is, nothing is forever, like even when you're having success, you guys, I'm going to tell you right now, I've had so much more failure in my life. Like, eh, I'm talking a million times more failure in my life than I've had successes. And I've had a really, really hard life because I take a lot of chances and I do a lot of things I don't want to do. And then I fall short. But when I fall short, I learned a lot in that process of what not to do. And so that's, you guys, failure is amazing. It's an amazing, amazing teacher in life. You cannot fear failing. You cannot fear looking bad to people. In the moment, when we care about what people think, I'm going to give you an example. I got a sauna hat for the sauna, and it's not cute. I mean, it looks ridiculous. But it's functional so that I don't lose hair because I'm getting thinner in hair and I don't want to lose any more hair. So I heard if you wear a sauna hat, and my wife's like, "You wear that in public?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like, I don't care what people think. If you're going to judge me for a sauna hat, I don't care. And so you got to stop caring what people think about I'm in direct sales or, this is my why, or like it's got to be yours. You can't let other people affect you or affect your decisions of what you want to do in your life. Like I do for me what I want to. Now, listen, I'm not going to do anything bad. I do care if people think that I'm doing bad things. Don't take that wrong. I just don't care what people think when it comes to hitting my goals. I'm always going to do things with God. I'm always going to do things with honesty. I'm always going to do things with integrity. Always, 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 always. But Jonah, whatever it is you want to create, Sarah, whatever you want to create, just put it out there and say, hey, this is what I'm going to do. And if they judge you, then I X them from my life because the only person that judges me is God. And if you judge me, you don't have that right. And you're not going to let it empower me in any way by saying, hey, that doesn't look right. You shouldn't do that. I don't care. I don't care. So just be you and do what drives you. And everyone that contributed to this call, you guys, it's a dream. That's what I want. I don't want to be a talking head. I want to hear from you guys. If you guys have questions, let's let
Hey,
this
Jay.
this 90-day massive action morph. Kyle,
Hey, dude.
what's up,
Hey, hold
brother?
on. First, I told you earlier, guys, that we're so sorry. We had another appointment and we had to get on here late, so we caught like the last half of it. I just want to tell everybody on here, you realize the amount of money that people pay this man to coach and to teach and to train the way that he's doing this.
I mean, I feel like I could run through a brick wall right now.
Joe's over here going, "Oh my gosh, that's so good. I needed to hear that. I needed to hear that." Jay, you do have a gift. God has really, really blessed you with a way to communicate to people and inspire people. And because you do and you're the first one up, you're the tip of the spear, you're really easy to follow. So I just want everybody to know that this is free for 90 days and this should cost a lot of money. And so anyways, get all in, tell your team to get all in immediately, send everyone this recording, and let's have 250 people on this next call because people need this. Jay, thank you, brother.
I mean, how much
You're welcome.
better are y'all feeling from this call and like what you feel like you can go accomplish now? Thank you, Jay, so much.
Thank you guys. You guys are so sweet. Thank you so much. Well, it's truly my pleasure. Listen, I mean, I told you guys I want to impact, and if I can do that through this channel and help you guys, like it's the biggest blessing that I could ever have in my life. It's the most fulfillment that I could ever get. And like Kyle said, send them the recording, invite them to the next call, get them on here, make sure that they understand what this journey is all about. And it's not about me. It's not about Jonah. It's not about Sarah. It's not about Kyle. It's about them. And that's what this is all about. If we can impact people from the inside out, we're going to build an amazing business. And that's the cool thing about this business is, I mean, nobody knows on the outside when they say, oh, it's multi-level marketing, it's a pyramid scheme, it's a Ponzi scheme, it's all these things. No, it's so much more than that. There's so much more involved in this business than that. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys showing up and spending your valuable, valuable time with me. Thank you for all the kind words. Thanks for all the interaction. Thanks for all the input. Thanks for all you guys' answers. You guys are going to make this as powerful as you want it to be. And I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Remember the homework. Work on it for the next 2 weeks. If it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day, just determine those things. And then we'll talk about it next week. And then we'll do and I'm going to train on the next week as well. And we'll have some homework for the next time. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.